Big news from the NHS today, and this will get you hot under the collar. Menopausal women working in the health service will be offered the opportunity to work from home or do lighter duties, according to the Chief Executive of NHS England, Amanda Pritchard. Now, I'm no expert on the management of health systems, and I'm very supportive of the millions of women who go through the hell of menopause. But encouraging the staff of an already diabolically overstretched service to work from home and do less work doesn't seem like the best prescription. Meanwhile, the Mail newspaper report that GPs want to reduce their working hours to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m, claiming that longer days discriminate against those with families. Family doctors who earn over £110,000 a year on average will now lobby the NHS to change core opening hours in general practice from the current 8 a.m. to 6:30, Monday to Friday, which means that services are cut by 2.5 hours a day, making it even harder for patients to be seen. And with the NHS costing £13,000 per household per annum and amounting to 40% of day-to-day government spending having jumped from 30% 10 years ago, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to want my money back. When you pay your taxes, you're expecting doctors and nurses, not middle managers, who make up almost half of NHS employees. You're not expecting diversity teams for what is the most diverse organisation out there. And you don't pay for rainbow pedestrian crossings outside of hospitals. You reap what you sow, and the NHS, whose doctors and nurses we all love, has brought this crisis onto itself. For 2.5 years, they became the national COVID service, ignoring far worse illnesses like cancer and type 2 diabetes. In the name of COVID, the NHS, as an organisation, became obsessed with the elimination of this one disease and became truly heartless as others begged for treatment for much more serious ailments. During the pandemic, the NHS lost its heart, it lost its mind, and it lost its head. And now, as they face a self-inflicted backlog of 7 million people seeking treatment, they want to send menopausal NHS workers home and give them lighter duties. This as nurses announce strikes on the 15th and 20th of December. We love the nurses and they deserve the pay rise. But the country is broke because of a diabolical overreaction to a seasonal respiratory virus. We borrowed £500 billion to pay perfectly healthy people to stay at home and closed once viable businesses. I don't recall any of the nursing unions speaking out against these ruinous and failed measures to stop a virus. The nurses and doctors who work in the NHS and the cooks, the cleaners, the porters and reception staff are the best we have. But the system is not fit for purpose. It's irrevocably broken in a crisis of its own making. It stopped treating people for over 2 years, and now look where we are, with hundreds more dying of cancer and heart disease every week than previously would. And unlike COVID, these diseases aren't exclusively related to the old and clinically vulnerable. Now the likes of a young mother must say goodbye to her kids because she couldn't get that lump checked during lockdown. And with cash-strapped Brits now so desperate they're paying for private treatment, the NHS is losing its moral authority too. With people paying for private treatment, the NHS risks becoming like the BBC, a service many don't use, but one everyone's got to pay for. And don't forget, if you're paying for private treatment, you're paying twice, given that you've already paid your taxes for the NHS. It's enough to make you sick. The brilliant Telegraph columnist Alison Pearson quoted one of her readers this week, Hannah, who emailed the paper to say her 2-year-old son is struggling to breathe, that's right, struggling to breathe and swallow food, but is only offered a telephone appointment in the near future with an ENT consultant. The estimated wait for a tonsillectomy? 2.5 years. 2.5 years. It should be 2.5 weeks. And in terms of its dire performance, try getting a GP appointment this side of Christmas. A lack of money isn't an excuse anymore, as most people accept the service is now an endless money pit. A radical rethink is essential and nothing is off the table. But we can't go on like this, that is clear. The NHS is on life support. It has a simple choice: change or die.